Damages in a discrimination or harassment lawsuit in New York is calculated based on the particular facts of each case. Each case is different. If the discrimination or conduct affects the employee's salary, then there is an award for economic damages. And those economic damages could be salaries lost in the past or wages lost in the past, or what is known as back pay. It could also be wages or salaries to be lost in the future, or what is known as front pay. There is also interest on these wages that by law a court is supposed to award on the economic damages. There is also loss or the effect of the discrimination on a person's pension benefits. That is a function of the salary that the person would have made if the person had been promoted or if the person had not been demoted or their salary reduced. That is also another item of damages. Sometimes the pension damages are quite large. For the kind of employees that we represent, a lot of them are public employees working for city or state governments. And we generally will retain an economist, an expert economist, to calculate these economic damages so that we don't miss a penny of what they're entitled to, either by interest, by back pay, front pay, or pension loss. Sometimes also there might be an award for excess tax that they're supposed to, because if there is an award of money, it puts the employee in a different tax bracket because they're receiving such a lump sum in one go. The tax burden becomes higher, so the economists will calculate that. So those are some of the economic damages. The other damages, which to us are actually more significant, is the damage that is the emotional damages, the feelings, which is really where the story lies, how it's affected them. It varies depending on how people are affected. People are affected differently by this time. Some people are more affected than the others. Some people don't seek any treatment. They're stoic about it. But of course, they have an emotional distress. They have anger, they have embarrassment, they have sleepless nights. But they sought no treatment. Those kind of emotional distress damages are kind of on the lower side, and they're considered to be garden variety emotional distress claims. But there are more serious ones where there is treatment, where there is counseling, where there is medication. Those are the more significant ones, that command a larger amount of money. And those amounts are determined by the values that the courts have determined is reasonable for such an award. Then there is the egregious or the extreme emotional distress, in cases where there are caricatures, there are racial epithets, there is actual physical contact and physical abuse involving discriminations. Those are the egregious, the more serious ones, where the damages could be, in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and sometimes even, up to $1 million or even more, depending on what happened. In the case of a sexual harassment, for instance, it could be multiple of millions, depending on what happened. If there were abuse, there are cases where, executive abuse secretaries and over years. Those cases could be anything, in terms of damages, emotional damages, even though there was no economic loss, no salary loss. But the emotional distress is more significant. And most employees that come to us generally suffer some level of trauma from this incident, and they live with it, whether they treat for it or not. But those are the categories of damages.